Welcome to Black Tower Tales. Currently following Nyx and Wiggins' Shadow Cloak. We're on scene 20 and have Chaos 5. I'm Body. I'll be your player dungeon master for today. And when last we left our intrepid pair, they had just exited a dungeon underneath the castle that was sort of had this crazy chaos magic that Wiggins, especially our gnome wizard, was vulnerable to. And they're both at one hit point. They were just accosted by a crazy miner that they had met at the top in the castle up top of the dungeon. But then they sort of fought back, and he ran off after getting a good blast of fire from Wiggins. But now, the expected scene that I have coming up is these two going out into the woods. It's sort of the middle to late afternoon, like 5-6 p.m. They're trying to find somewhere to rest their heads for the night. They've got a couple hours of daylight left, and the reason they need to do that is because the explosion that Wiggins set off down in the basement of the dungeon in the sacrificial altar room caused some seismic rumblings up here in this dilapidated castle, and the place that they had slept the night previous has just straight up collapsed, and there's not really anywhere else in the area that they would be able to sleep in. So they are going to be traveling into the woods, basically trying to find somewhere habitable, somewhere that is sort of secluded from the elements. And for that, now we need to test the expected scene to see if we get something from the chaos factor. Our chaos factor is 5. We rolled a 9, so that's not equal or under the chaos factor. So the expected scene is what happens. So they are going to go out into the woods, travel away from this castle, back towards sort of the path that they were probably on previously. And what we're going to do is roll on our 6d12 table in the standard wilderness column in order to see what it is they find. They're not really backtracking because they're still trying to get away from the bounty hunters that were searching for both of them previously, but they're also trying to, with how injured they are, they're also trying to get to the next town. So on the standard wilderness, we have, for the black die, we have 7, which is there are no monsters. Blue is a 5, so there's no clues or anything like that. White is 4, so there's no particularly great features. Modeled is 1, and the other two are both 5 and 4. So they actually don't really find anything of note. So essentially what happens is they make their way for a couple hours in let's say to the east, and they eventually they just have to take a certain area of the ground and be like, all right, this is where we have to stop, and they're gonna set up their bedrolls. Let's say, what are are they gonna have poor weather tonight? I don't really have a good table or method of doing this. We're gonna ask the fate chart. I think there's something of a chance, but I think it's the climate that they're in doesn't strike me as something where it's like particularly likely that it's going to be rainy or crappy. So I'm going to say it's very, I'll just say it's unlikely. Very unlikely seems like a bit too much, but we'll say it's unlikely that they're going to have inclement weather tonight. Oh, buddy. So that's a 4. 64. So no. They're not going to have bad weather. It's going to be a normal night, sort of maybe partly cloudy or whatever. And they've done this sort of thing before. Maybe we'll give Nyx some sort of survival type check with wisdom to see if they're able to set up decently and get a good amount of healing. Actually, because of this, I think target 12. But yeah, if she's able to make a decent campsite for them, then I think they'll be able to heal a lot easier as they rest. But unfortunately, she was not able to. She rolled a 9 for a target 12. So I think at best they're both going to just heal 1 hit point over tonight. They get up, maybe makes maybe they have like these tarps or something. Like they have bedrolls for sure, basic camping equipment. And what Wiggins is going to do this evening, once they get sort of set up with a campfire, is after they experience in the castle, he's actually going to be trying to cast, or not cast this, he's going to cast a spell and try to write it into his spell book. It's a detect chaos spell. So in Index Card RPG, there's a spell called Detect Evil, where you can detect evidence of despicable deeds or active malevolence. And I think we're going to sort of take that and modify it a little bit, so where Wiggins is actually going to be able to detect the energies that inhabited the previous that castle, the dungeon that they were in. And what he's going to do actually is use the little statue that he has as sort of a focus for this, because he sort of realized earlier that the statue is related to that chaos magic somehow, and he already knows that the eyes sort of like will light up, and I think he's going to try to use that statue as a focus, so that if he's trying to detect chaos, he can it'll have its eyes light up. Now, to do that, I think he's going to need at least a couple. I think it's going to be, if it was just writing the spell in his spell book, going through the motions of that, I think it would just be 1 heart. But because he's trying to cast it and enchant this, he's trying to cast it to enchant this statue while also inscribing it in his spell book. I think it's going to be actually a 3 heart task for him. So it's detect, and he's obviously not going to be able to complete that tonight, but it's something that I think he can work on during sort of his downtime coming up. So I'd say we're gonna have target 12, because it's just a standard sort of thing, and they don't have they're not like pressured for time or anything. But he has a +2 to int, so he's looking at a 10 or above on the roll. And yeah, so he gets a 13. He's able to use his magic effort in order to, sort of write this in his spell, make the first attempt at writing this spell in his spell book. Oh shit. And he actually gets an 11, which is really good. And yeah, he's well on his way. Actually, I would say that with that effort, he actually has the spell in his spell book, and it's really the other 2 is just going to be fully enchanting the spell into the statue that he has. So the question is there any particular thing that Nyx is going to do during their downtime here? I think really she's just going to be sort of tending her wounds. We'll give her a survival check for healing both of them. So if this is successful, instead of just healing 1, they're going to both heal 1d4. Oh, and then 19. Okay, +2. So let's say Nyx heals 1, and Wiggins heals 3. So she basically heals as much as she was going to anyways. And Wiggins goes up to 4. All right. And then also I think they're going to have a discussion about, and try to like understand for themselves what happened in the dungeon down there. So Nyx especially has this question on her mind, is like, what happened when in that sacrificial chamber, about like why, like, because Wiggins got overcome with the chaos magic and attacked her. And I think she needs to understand like that it wasn't something that like he did to her. I know they had a conversation about this, I want to say like 6 or 7 scenes ago, but I think it's something that she still has, thoughts on. So I'm not exactly sure how to handle this. I think she's gonna use her charisma in order to like broach it in a certain way. Let's see. I think this is another sort of effort test. I'll say it's 2 hearts because this, and we're gonna see what sort of things happen here. So Wiggins is going to, or Nyx is going to bring it up with her charisma, right? So she gets a 14. I think, yeah, I think basic effort makes the most sense with the D4 because it's not like you can have a weapon or magic. So that's 3 effort because she sort of brings it up in a diplomatic way, and Wiggins, I think he needs to make a wisdom check in order to see like if he has the presence of mind to explain like, hey, it was just, if he doesn't take offense to it, right? Something like that. So Wiggins has a +2 for this, and but he does not. So he sort of ham-fists his response. He's like, I don't know. It was just like I couldn't control myself, which I don't think she accepts as sort of a proper answer. I think now Nyx is going to. I think she's going to use like her own wisdom check in order to try and, let's say, like try to come to, I don't know. This is the kind of thing that's hard because I want them to have some sort of resolution for this, but it seems like, like the role playing part of being a solo RPG player is like it's hard to have a conversation between 2 people in your head, right? So I think, yeah, she has a wisdom check. She's going to make a wisdom roll versus Wiggins's contested wisdom roll, in order to see who. So Nyx got a 12 and Wiggins got a 21. So I think Wiggins is going to take the initiative and try to make an attempt to sort of like emotionally like explain what happened, like that he doesn't really understand it, but it's something that she knows that he's in love with her, that he's I mean, they're married and stuff. So I think he's actually going to use he's going to try to use his intelligence in order to convey this. He's going to like convey that like it was some sort of crazy magic that he didn't have control over his body, and he's even working on this chaos statue thing that is going to hopefully give them some sort of advance warning if they ever run into this kind of thing again. So I think actually because of that, because he had such success on writing this spell in his spell book, he's actually going to this is going to be an easy check for him. So it's going to be a DC 9, and he's got a +2, and he's even got a 19. So I think that, especially since he was using his magic to sort of prove something, and that's a 10. So that actually, okay, so they're up to 13 now on the on this. And let's see, I think Nyx is sort of accepts that, and I think what she's going to do is she's going to use her intelligence to try and remember the history that they've had together, and see if what he said makes sense to her. So she's going to, it's going to be DC 12. Oh, and she just makes it. All right. Oh, I need a D4. And she gets a +1, so that's 5. So they're up to 18. And they're going to, whoops. So in this conversation, she sort of understands that what he's saying about, and that there's some magic force, and he's taking steps in order to make sure it never happens again. And I think she's going to offer an olive branch, something along those lines, and she's gonna offer like a, try to say that she's gonna make a wisdom check to see if she like understands exactly that he's like, to sort of suss out his intentions here, just to make sure that he's being forthright, right? So I think this is going to be a wisdom, but it's going to be an easy target 9, because he is actually being. Oh no! Okay, and that's a 3. So that doesn't work, and so I think Wiggins is going to have a chance to read the situation and see that she's like not trusting him here with a wisdom check. Target 12, and oh man, this actually, I think here towards the end the conversation takes a turn for the worse, and they just they don't come to. He sort of has tried to explain that he's, explain what happened, that it's not something that he was able to control himself, and that he's taking these steps in order to try to fix it and not let it happen again. But she's not really understanding how it's still possible that it still should be that he wasn't able to. He should have been strong enough, I guess, to keep it from happening in the first place. And so they sort of leave this this conversation unresolved, and I think it's something that actually we need to add to the threads list in order to have them revisit. So what are we going to call this? So this is going to be the chaos event in dungeon. And yeah, with that, I think they sort of go to bed for the night. We need to actually, let's see if anything bad happens to them while they are sleeping. So that's going to be the end of the scene, unless something happens. I think the proper way to do that, I think, would be to let's roll a d6, and if we get a 1, we'll have a random event happen. Oh no, okay, cool. So what's the random event focus? It's a 1, okay. So that's going to be a remote event. And the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of a remote event is something related to the thread of Wiggins's father and him finding his gear that was taken by the bounty hunters. So I don't know what we're going to get with the action and descriptions tables, but that's sort of the thing that I'm leaning towards. We're going to go action 2, descriptor 2, and that's a 3, which is agreement. And then 60, agreement mature. So yeah, I think what that means is that Wiggins's father had to like was able to find the stuff from the bounty hunters, but now we sort of know in the distance that Wiggins's the father has made some sort of agreement with his wife that he's going to go out and try to track them down. And I think, does he have a particular? I'm going to ask the fate chart. Does Wiggins's father have some way to actually track them down? Like, is he just knowledgeable? Does he have some sort of magical way to do it, or does he just know which way they were going to go? I think it's likely that he has some sort of knowledge of where they were going to go because he had talked to them before they left. But I think the question we're going to ask is, does he know the place that they're intending to run off to? And I think that's 50-50. We're Chaos 5. 84. So no, he doesn't know the exact place they're heading off to, but he does know the direction that they were headed. So he's not gonna be able to like wait for them somewhere in like an inn or something, but he does sort of have the chance to encounter them on the road, right? So I think with them going to bed, we sort of see this random event happen in the side of as an aside, as sort of the DM side of things. And we're going to call it there. I think we already updated the threads in the cast. I think actually Chaos, for scene 21, I think Chaos 6. We're going to go up to Chaos 6. And of course, we're going to stay at target 12. But yeah. Yeah, with that, we're going to end the scene, and we'll see you next time.